Everybody put your hands together for today's guest, Trusc. Oh, shit. I didn't do that right. Trusc! There he is, everybody. There he is. All right. Okay. There he is. Yo, Trusc, thank you so much. Am I saying your name right? Is Trusc?
Yeah, Trusc.
Okay,
Trusc is correct. Yeah.
Good. I'm so glad. You guys might be wondering why Trusc looks a little pixelated and stuff. We're set up for a performance, and we're gonna get to that in just a moment. We're having so we'll change the view and stuff here in a moment. So just give us a little bit. We're gonna say hi to Trusc here and get a little warmed up, and then we're gonna get a performance going on here. So Trusc, thank you so much for being here, my friend. I really appreciate it. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really good, and I'm totally glad to be here. So it's all going well so far from this end.
Yeah, we were having some technical issues beforehand, and so we're gonna get all this stuff up front. So if we have any problems, we want to make sure that you guys get the best experience. But yeah, no, technology is nuts, man. Have you done any of these live streams before? Have you been involved in any yet? Besides,
So I've had online podcasts and I
Mhm.
have done things like that, but I haven't done anything quite like this with the full-on live stream setup on Twitch before. No.
Have you ever been to Twitch? Have you ever been on this platform?
Yeah, I play a decent number of games, and so I've used Twitch previously to like watch live streams of games in my past. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any gamers that you like?
So I'm a big fan of first-person shooters generally. So CS:GO, and recently I've been getting into Apex Legends. Is two of my favorite games.
Ooh, watch out now! Watch out now! You're in the right place for that. Is there any gamers that you like?
Gamers.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I mostly just watch the competitive scenes, so I don't really follow one specific personality. At least I used to watch Shroud back in the day, particularly when he was going on PUBG. But yeah, I mostly just watch like the competitive matches in CS:GO nowadays.
I love that. I love that you got this inner nerd just raging inside of you, which is great. I think that at some level that artists have to be quote unquote a nerd in some way. I mean, like I really do feel like artists have to go deep into certain subjects or ideas in order sort of to mine, the inspiration that they sort of put out
Yeah.
there. I mean, would you agree with a sentiment like that?
I totally agree. Like at the end of the day, to do music is you're spending hours and hours a week by yourself on your computer or just writing, and you've got to be a specific type of person, and one which is often shown off in like the more nerdy pursuits, to be like focused on this one task by yourself for a huge percentage of your life. So it's not surprising that there's a certain group of people who regularly gravitate towards it. Like how many famous rappers like Run the Jewels, Tech9, Eminem all talk about like comic books or like superhero references in a lot of their music. So I don't think I'm alone in it.
No. Yeah, I mean, the most gangster of gangster rappers, was into something, whether it was like underground music or something that they went so deep into that they found a bit of themselves in it. So, I mean, it's always funny to me too to see how like the evolution of rappers. Like, did you ever see like Dr. Dre before he was Dr. Dre? Have you ever like?
Yeah, I've seen like pictures like before and after, etc.
Yeah, like
and it's like
yeah.
I was going to say, yeah, a lot of them look quite radically different, but before they get like the cool gangster persona where they were just like a teenager in their bedroom making music, is a lot of them. So
yeah, no, I mean, there's Dr. Dre used to put on lipstick and like he had makeup on, and like he was like his performance was. You could just tell as a young man he was floundering to find his voice and what he was truly born to put out there. And so it's always interesting to me to see that. Now I got to see Dr. Dre with makeup on. Okay, like hold on, Dr. Dre with makeup. Early days. Let's all gander. Really now? Yes, really now I do. Swirl baby. This is what I have to do. Oh my God! Look at Dr. Dre with lipstick gangster. Get out of it. Hold on. Let's pull everybody else in here. This isn't fair. This isn't fair. And then let's bring our guest on. Oh no, we can see the whole thing. Okay, sorry. All right, we're gonna make this better, everybody. I promise. Boom! Look at that. Isn't that better?
Magic. Yeah, it's flawless.
Look at this guy. Look at this. Look at it. Oh God. All right, let's leave you over there. Look how fancy this Dr. Dre fella was at one time. Hold on. There's one where he is like full on like dark lipstick. Hold on. Where is it? Where is it? I keep saying hold on a lot. I'm noticing I'm saying hold on. Hold on. Lipstick. This is what we've become, folks. We're trying to find Dr. Dre in the early days. Come on, Dr. Dre. Look at this dude. Look how like he looks so opposite of gangster. I'm sorry, but that
he made it work. He made it work.
Look at that. Look how happy he looks. Look how happy. And then like look how mad he looks over here. Look, happy, mad, happy, mad. Look how what happened to you, Andre? What did you do? Who hurt you?
More problems.
Yeah, exactly. More money, more problems, and now he has to be gangster. I just love that. I love that. Yeah, no, yeah, exactly, Swirl Baby. Yeah, the pictures prove it. Swirl Baby, it's all about how gangster you were, and then you find out how ungangster you were. There was this joke. There's this joke on the Boondocks. Have you ever watched that? It's like it's Aaron Magruder. It's I don't know. Boondocks. It was a comic strip, and then it was a anime series that was done in like anime style, but it was like a very urban setting. And there's this scene where one of the brothers, Riley, was talking about Ice Cube. And he was like, they were talking about how Ice Cube is like in all these family movies. And he's like, you mean the guy that was in all those family movies was a gangster? And they're like, he's like, he was the most gangster. And it's just so funny to see the transformation of these rappers sort of go, you know, from like, you know, I mean, even Dr. Dre is like, you got, you know, lipstick, trying shock value rapper to gangster to like Beats by Dre mogul and now divorcee who's losing half his shit. But, you know, whatever. But Ice Cube was like NWA writing lyrics for Eazy-E, you know, like gangster as fuck. And then, you know, barbershop too. You know, so it's like, I love to see the transformation. Where do you see yourself taking it? Would you take it in that direction of like acting, or do you think that I mean, has there been evolutions of Trusc?
Oh yeah, definitely. There's been evolutions for me. I think when I started out, I was trying to pose a lot harder than I needed to be. Where there's a lot of music which I like. I'm a UK rapper, so I listen to a lot of grime generally, and a lot of other UK hip hop, and that is quite a aggressive, hard scene for the most part. And when I was very started as well, there was listening to a lot of like US music, US rap. A lot of my early music had like an American accent as well, because that was what I was so used to listening to. I'd end up accidentally picking up this American accent when I rapped and performed. And now I'm growing more into me as a genuine artist, as this is what represents me and what I would like to put out. So there's a lot less posing nowadays, considering my very early stuff wasn't always truly authentically me, but and I would like to see it continuing that way more. I'm focusing on my sound more. A lot of my songs are sounding a lot more similar. Like I still really like listening to grime, but I don't think I am a grime artist at heart. I'm not part of that scene in the correct way. So yeah.
Do you can you give us a little bit of that American accent? The chat wants to hear it.
Not intentionally. That's the thing. It was entirely unconscious. Like I didn't realize I was doing it at all. I was just so used to listening to American art. And then like 2 years later, I'd listen back to my music and I'd be like, why do I sound like Relapse Eminem in this? Like I am, and like really like screwing up all of the words. Like yeah, it was awful. It was not good. It was
Was
genuinely like really bad.
how long have you been doing? How long you been rapping?
A long time now. So I have been actively recording myself for 7 years,
Oh, okay.
probably. And I've been writing and rapping for a couple of years then before recording. Uh, yeah, so it's been a large part of my life, probably like approaching half my life now, just under a third of my life. Yeah.
That's great. That's awesome, man. And so to see that evolution. So you were in your teens when you started rapping, and
Yeah. I believe I first recorded when I was about 16, 17.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
I'm now 24 for reference.
All right. Well, thank you for that. Well, so then in those early days when you were 16, you were like going at like
Yeah.
okay, you're that was the era of the America. Okay.
Lyrical miracle, spiritual individual. Yeah. All that lot.
Lyrical miracle. Uh, uh, so are you were you somebody who started out with freestyle, or was are you a freestyle? I know I saw some of your videos that say freestyle, but are you really freestyling?
Okay. So it's not I like the fact that I try and perform everything in as one take as possible
Mm.
is part of my music. I don't like cutting things up that much. I will if I need to, if I've got this really good take. Um, but it's more of the free, but like the Wiley Flow freestyle on there was more of the straight up like one take sort of freestyle instead of a completely off the dome.
Mm.
Uh, my off the dome is it's not a Harry Mack. Let's say it's not YouTube worthy.
Mm.
It's if I'm drunk at a party, then I can do a little bit and people are impressed by it reasonably well, but I think that's as far as it goes. Um,
People are in okay, I see. Freestyle versus off the dome is two different things then.
yeah, so off the dome, so yeah, so off the dome is like making it up on the spot, entirely no
Hmm.
writtens. Freestyles fall into, depending who you ask, two different categories, where one is entirely off the dome, and the other is just not like almost live, like a live recording where it's done once. And so the sort of things where you see like token freestyling on the radio, etc., they're all written beforehand and they're
Mm.
accepted to be written beforehand. However, it's one attempt, one take, no edits or something, and that is what I meant by that freestyle in that
Hmm. No,
context.
thank you for defining that, because for me, I mean, I'm not a rapper, but I enjoy hip hop. But for me, like if I hear freestyle, like or off the dome, to me that was like the same thing. So like I'm glad that we were able to sort of clarify that. And now we got some questions from the chat, and we already covered it, but they thought that they needed to use a fresh bar, so I'm gonna ask again. Can we hear your American accent? Swirl baby.
Uh, okay. I'm trying to remember it. Oh, this is gonna get clipped by someone, and it's gonna come back to haunt me in 100 years.
No, it won't. You'll be all right. You'll be all right.
uh, it was just like, oh man, it's actually completely escaped me. Like I had a specific phrase, which whenever I would say it would be in this twangy American accent.
Twang.
Um, and it was like stuff like, and it's like always the stuff like saying like clipping or like when you're trying like Eminem trying to rhyme orange and door hinge, where it's just like orange door hinge, and it's just like awful like sort of twang to it, which just
Yeah,
was so unnatural. But yeah, I don't think I can do a full line
that's
in it
okay.
intentionally anymore. I
No
like to think
worries.
I've got rid of it out of my system.
No worries. No worries. POV, your 16-year-old Trusc. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah. Take yourself back there. No, it's totally
don't want
cool.
to take myself back. There's a dark time.
Blind Fury. Yes, I think as fast was it? Blind Fury is unbelievable off the dome. Yes, I think as fast as it goes. Yeah. I've never heard Blind Fury actually. That's dope. Okay, so we have another question from Swirl Baby, and I think this is a little bit more. Hey, behind that suit, my favorite Canadian rapper is in chat. Behind that suit, much love. We have a song that's supposed to come out one day. It was supposed to come out on the 20th, but the fucking cover just fuck you, CD baby. Anyways, what can we get some advice to improve rhyming schemes, skills, etc.?
Yeah, so I think rhyming. So there's two things. There's like the scheme, which is like fairly standard, like poetry schemes, where, for example, you can do A, which is like you rhyme the first two lines and the last line, and the third line is completely separate. So you could say something like, there was a cat, he sat on a mat, he walked a long way, and now he's back, would be an AABA. And so, and that is often what translates directly into flows. So if you mix up the rhyming scheme and like the poetry, so a good one, which I often do, is like, I really like AABBBA, where a bit more complicated, where that just sounds very different. And that one, then because then it's like you have a cool line and just a couplet that starts with, and then it flows into this quite densely packed flow, and then harkens back to the couplet, which is like a nice circular rhyme scheme, which is one of my favorites. And in a lot of my tracks, I do quite a lot. And then there's the other side of it, which is rhyme density. So a lot of early rappers, both in terms of when someone starts out rapping, and also old school rap has this a lot more, is they choose very monosyllabic rhymes. So for example, like my previous example would be cat, hat, back. Whereas modern era rappers and the type of artists I listen to quite a lot goes for multi-syllabic rhymes, where for a sentence, you want to rhyme as many words in that sentence as possible. And so if you can chain up all of the syllables, I think that gives a really impressive flow to the sound, and just makes it all sound a lot clearer and a lot more like you've got this. I think flow is the correct term. The reason it's a rap flow is that it's just constant, and it sounds like water rushing compared to just like you're speaking. And I think that's a really big difference. And so a good example of this is like the start of my song Power. It's like, peer at my life and you're looking at a madhouse, appear when I like, and I'm skipping all the handouts. Is there, I'm not just lining madhouse and handouts, there's also peer into and appear and life and like. So at all the key points where it lands on the drum beat, it rhymes. So it's not just the monosyllabic at the end, but it's throughout the entire track. Nearly every line I'm going to be rhyming 4 or 5 syllables for it. And I think that really makes it sound a lot more polished and a lot more professional at the end. And doing that with the previously mentioned rhyme schemes, mixing them up throughout the track, flips up the flow. And if you can get both of those down, you can get a really polished track throughout it, which sounds very cool to me as the style of music I enjoy making. And in terms of actually doing that and actually learning these words and how to mix them up, the answer is always practice. There's a genuine freestyle rapper and a battle rapper in the UK scene I follow quite a lot, called Shuffle T, and every day he posts like a multi-syllabic challenge where he'd say a word, or like actually 3 words often, and the aim is like on Twitter that you've got to respond with as many full-on rhymes as you can. And so just like these small drills, these exercises like you would any sport, is just like 3-syllable word, what's the like quickest / best rhyme you can have to it, where you match up all the syllables. And if you do that enough, and if you write enough, then all of that will become a lot easier.
Damn, that was so legit. That was such a legit. I'm like, I've never heard like rapping and you know phrasing and stuff described like that. That was it's a nifty answer. Yes, indeed. No, that it was, you had like the ABBA stuff and like that. I mean, it was very, that's what I love about like the newer generations of musicians, is that I feel like they go in deeper, and I feel like they're with the advent of the internet, with with YouTube, with the availability of any artist at any time, anywhere. You're able to sort of lock into these different styles. I mean, as me growing up, we had the internet, but it's not the internet we had now. So we were just sort of beholden to like magazines to tell us about, or these old archaic ways of transmitting information to sort of be able to find out who's new and who's doing what. And then shit, underground was a whole new challenge, because then it's like, how do you figure out that? So like the internet, I really feel like, has brought this really this very wide spectrum of information that younger people can sort of draw from and really put into their work. I mean, just listening to you talk, I've never heard of. I talked to a rapper who's 40 years old. He's not talking about A B B B A. He's just like, yeah, I just rhyme hat with cat, bitch. What? It's like it's not. It's very scientific. Was this something that you've always sort of looked into and studied? I mean, obviously you've studied, but like, is it something that you've like? It sounds like you've read books and shit. Like, how far and how deep do you go into like studying, phrasing and how you can string words together and like, please.
Yeah. So I like to think of myself as a technical rapper. It's the
Okay.
sort of music I like listening to, is that fast-paced, rhyme-dense thing. And I make music which I want to listen to. So I like to think of myself as quite a technical rapper. When I started rapping, what I would do is I would pull down some of my favorite songs at the time, and map out how long their rhyme schemes go on for. So I'd literally like pull down, I don't know, Straight Out the Gate by Tech Nine. And I would say, okay, he rhymes this word for 6 lines, and then he rhymes another word for 2 lines, and then he rhymes this word. And then I started tracing them back. And so you now see like these genius annotations on YouTube where they like say, oh, follow the rhymes. And I would do that by myself in my bedroom, and follow them out. And then I would also like experiment where if I swap the lines round, like how would that sound? Would that make the flow worse or better? And why would it do that? So this was like, and it wasn't so much like a practice for me, but this was what I enjoyed doing.
Yeah.
I'm a computer. I work with computers by trade, and in my hobbies, I do like a lot of engineering sort of related stuff. So I am quite a technical person generally, and that's what I try and like, that mindset I bring to music, where I break everything down into like puzzles and logic and see if I can fit them all together. And then there is the other things where, like particularly with rhyme schemes, is I did do like, I went to like, I read a lot of books, I read poetry. I try writing poetry as well, because it's a very similar thing, that you want to be able to pull out that storytelling and that emotive nature, which is so common in poetry, but also to put it into like a proper cadence and rhyme dense thing, which is more related to rap. And if I can bring those two together, that would be great. That would be almost perfect to me. And so and in poetry, there's a lot more resources for this sort of thing, where they do talk about rhyme schemes and when you should leave the rhyme schemes, and stanzas and couplets, etc. And so I try and pull those learnings together essentially.
Yeah, that's intense, man. I look at these rappers who are coming out these days, and I look at them almost as jazz musicians. Like there's so much study that goes into this. I mean, even the way that the rhythm of how you hang on to a word. I mean, just the way, like Bone Thugs and Harmony, I feel like is one of those first bands, one of those first rap groups or whatever you want to call them, that really took how you rhyme scheme and stuff, and really flipped it into something else, and made it melodic and all that stuff. And then you sort of see that same sort of rhyme scheme kind of come back. And maybe mumble rap, is that maybe the right way? But like you can sort of see it come back, where people are sing-songy, and the melody, and there's off beat, rhythms, and like it's just like it's all kind of come to this point where like if you want to rap and really make a splash, it's like you really got to be able to I don't know, have something to say, and really be able to flip these words in a really interesting and new way. And I mean, that's not always the way people get up. I mean, because there's tons of rappers that sound like other rappers who are doing just fine. But still, it's like when people first heard Eminem, right? Like when Dr. Dre is driving through Los Angeles and he flips on that radio station and hears Eminem freestyling for the first time, you know, like that was new, that was different. Like the way that Eminem takes it and phrases his lines and the way that he rhymes with, you know, it's not even rhyming words anymore. He's rhyming. But you said it earlier. God, I can't.
Like
Syllables.
syllables.
Yes, thank
Yeah.
you very much, my friend. Thank you. That was awesome. Yeah, so he's rhyming syllables and he's doing all this crazy, you know, gymnastics with his wording and stuff. I don't know, like how far do you think you could take this? How far can we take this? I mean, I know that's sort of a pointless question, but like I do, you know, with everything that's sort of coming to this apex, I was like, where do we take it next?
Yeah, it's and I think that is a really good question, and you see it in a lot of like music nowadays. That music does kind of like has fractured a little bit, and I think you do have the melodic rappers, the mumble rappers, and then you have some more like YouTube rappers, like the lyrical rappers, etc. And which feel, and like there's a bit of a, in my opinion, a bit of a pointless war between like the whole deaf to mumble rap sort of vibe. But I think it is because you get those group of people, the latter, the YouTube people, who are like, they just want to make what they view as the purest hip hop, which is something I like. I do kind of like. I do like those complicated flows. I do like those fast flows and the complicated rhymes. And so they're entirely focused on taking that as far as they can. And then there's the melodic people who have almost stepped back from the old, like from that path of hip hop, where they've taken it back. And there are always exceptions to this, but they've taken it back almost to like the pure beats and pure storytelling aspects of it that don't so much need the they don't so much need the super technical flows on top of it. I think one thing is that when you try and build yourself into a niche of taking it as far as physically possible, you can alienate people who aren't innately interested in that thing. So I think Luke Gorn being a good example of who's quite a reasonably sized rapper who started out on YouTube, where he just does incredibly fast machine gun flows and is known for being a bit flippity dippity. But if you like if you're into rap or into that type of rap, you listen to him and it's like, wow, this sounds like the perfect rap, and that's the best what you can do. But if you're someone who just kind of likes listening to rap, kind of likes listening to nice music, kind of likes following along to the words and seeing the storytelling, you're going to be alienated by that in a way that, because it requires real focus and real like dedication to follow this machine gun flow. And sometimes you don't want to listen to it for the craft, and you just want to listen to it for the emotions that it carries through. And I think, and so if you hyper specialize too much, if you take it too far, you can risk alienating some people along the way, I think.
Yeah. So I like how you answered that, because it's just like, well, it's sort of just fracturing, and that's what's next. It's just going to sort of go off, and everyone's going to sort of have their niche and their niche like genre of hip hop that they're really into. And I agree with you. And you know, it's the same thing when it comes to super overcomplicated music. You know, like if you listen to bands like Snarky Puppy and compare it to like Taylor Swift, well, Taylor Swift has a way bigger, you know, fan base. Her songs are way simpler to listen to. Like, you know, shake it up, shake it. You know, you can just sing along and it's really fun and you can dance to it. Whereas like Snarky Puppy is like, you know, it's like, as someone who is just trying to casually listen to music and chill, they're not like, yay, I want to hear Snarky Puppy fly all over the fretboard. It's like, I just want to hear Taylor Swift shake it off. You know what I mean? It's just that I get that it's so relative to music itself. Besides hip hop, you know, it's so relative to instrumentalists and how we see it. Because I'm mostly an instrumentalist. And I love that kind of like jazzy fusion type shit. But like, you know, you can't take that in front of a crowd of people who are here for hip hop and like, you know, expect that to go over, you know. So it's like I like that answer because it's just sort of fragmenting. It's rather than predicting, it's like you're seeing where it's going and it's fragmenting into these different genres and niches. And I like that.
I
That's good.
don't, yeah,
Go ahead,
I was
please.
going to say, I don't think it's a bad thing either.
No,
I
not at
think it's,
all.
yeah, particularly with the increase, like music is easier to make than ever.
Yeah.
You no longer have to rent out a hugely expensive studio. You can, like, lots of people that are bedroom musicians can make genuinely professional sounding music nowadays. And it's easier to distribute with the likes of YouTube and Spotify. It's really easy to get your music online and heard. So now, if you have a taste, the taste exists, and there is an audience for it, and also there are artists to cater to it. And I think that's only a good thing.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. It's like the thing that gets people listening to music more and like gets people into supporting their favorite artist more is great. There's no getting around. You know what? I'm hearing that we're having some interference in your stuff. So why don't we get our performance now? How about that? Does that sound good to you?
Yeah, sure. Before the interface kills us, let's do it.
Okay, guys, we're gonna stay in this mode because the way we have our scene set up. So I am gonna put on the emote wall. So everyone, feel free to throw your emotes out there. But yeah, so I'm gonna turn it over to Trusc and enjoy this track. And please introduce the track and yourself.
Yeah. So this is the track Cold. It's going to drop in a couple of weeks on February the 4th. And the full version will have a guest verse via Spotify, and this will be a demo. Yeah. Trust. Yeah, let me hold it down. Give me all your hand and let me hold it now. As we're running through the glades, through the valleys, through the sand. And our love is like a tidal wave crashing and unplanned. It sweeps away the trees as it cleans all the land. And I look at you, look at me, believe me, I'm your man. You're so gleaming in your beaming, make a beamer out of tin can. Feeling like we can, living for the weekend. Stop, break it down, running it back. When I saw you, I was broken down, running a track. Wishing I could live a lie, loving the trap. Back then I was a different guy, cut me some slack, eh? I've never been fake, you can trust me on that. A fake love with Dougie, but enough about that. Feeling like I'm chasing, running these laps, but I've never been patient, stuck in the past. Yeah. We've come a long way. And we're so close. Too cold. Then winter comes and with it is a colder sun. Each breath comes heavy, feeling like I know your lungs. The chosen one to Obi-Wan, the closest one. You'll hold me close when skiing hopeful slopes and troping down to broken noses. But I know I'm floating, no need for ghosting. When we're going coast to coast, we're coating oceans with our simple motions. No need for smoking, we're high on life, going with the flow. And knowing you and me won't be needing secret potions. We keep it open, we keep it closed, we keep it locked down, cause we're looking hot now. We're gonna rock up and we're gonna top out. And we're sounding so good that you could call us college dropouts. Cold. Dropping in a week.
Boom. All right, we're gonna change over here.
Change the view quick.
We're gonna change the view as soon as we get. Okay, here we go. You guys ready? Look at this look at this professional setup, y'all. Look at how professional we are. We're doing things. Hold on. There's that hold on again. Thank you for those woos. Hey, let's go. Oxbead, welcome in. Thank you for being here. We're just fixing the screen out of our performance mode. Oh, okay.
There we go. I'm back.
He's back. He's back, everybody. Look at him. Look at that guy right there, that handsome. Well, I don't know what I was about to say. Handsome. I was gonna
Hello.
say a handsome fellow. Yes, yes. All right, man, cropped him, bro. Yep, that's how we do. That's how we do. We crop on the spot. Crop on the spot. All right, I'll stop doing that. Anyways, yeah, Trust. Thank you so much for that performance, and that was the new song "Cold," right?
Yeah.
And
It's going to drop in a week, February the 4th, and you can pre-save it currently on Spotify in my Instagram bio. And the full track will have an additional verse by CJ, who's another UK rapper as part of the label as well. So there's another secret verse that you can listen to, and if you want to hear it, go and pre-save it.
dude, I love that. Tell me about the label now. It's Immortal Radio? Is that the label? Like what is the relationship between you guys, and what how did you guys meet up?
So there's two parts to it actually. So yeah, it's a small Canadian label. Um, and all of us, essentially all artists who all enjoy making music, and like a small community to work together, and easy to reach out to other people. And from there it's grown a little bit, where we also have like producers, and we have like graphic designers as part of it, to really streamline the music making process and to make music that we all want to listen to. uh, so there was actually two groups of us. So I was reached out directly by Immortal Radio for me to join the collective. And as I did that, there's a lot of us who knew each other beforehand. So for example, CJ and Next Apollo being two notable people that we knew beforehand and were dope via another website called RapPad, where it's just a like a forum, a place to share rap music um, between each other. And so I joined the radio, and I was asked for like, do I know anyone who can join? And CJ was one of my people who I was like, yeah, pull him along. And then I saw Next Apollo join. I was like, hey, I know this guy. This guy's also pretty dope. And from there, it's just grown a bit, and it's just been a good vibe. And there's a few of us now.
Oh, that's awesome. So you were part of sort of the ground level there. You're in.
I definitely wasn't one of the first people. There was already a small group before I was
Gotcha.
joined on, but I think I was in the first half probably, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I don't keep track exactly of it.
Yeah, no, I totally understand. Yeah, you're not following it like that. But so what are the benefits that you've seen with going on a label? Because there's a lot of, I mean, these days independent artists and like people, a lot of people have a lot to say about being independent and these indie labels. Signed to bigger labels is like. What are some of the benefits that you've seen coming through signing on with a label, with an independent label, especially an independent label out of Canada? Nothing against Canada or Canadian labels. I'm just curious.
So I think I think there's a lot to be said for community.
Mm,
As point one.
yeah.
So like just being around focus, like similarly minded people to really like keep you driving and keep you going, and that support network and encouragement that, okay, I've had a bad month, I haven't been able to write as much as I would, but then I've got these other guys who are doing really well, to like kind of pick me up and keep me going. So it's a team, and we work together and we share success, which is a big emotional component of it. It can be quite isolating working on your own music. I think there is the other point where then more like transactionally, there's a lot of work where promotion wise, like this this stream would be a prime example where that they set this up for me in a great way that I'm hoping is introducing me to new people, new listeners like this, which is something that I could do by myself, but it'd be a lot more work. I'm already spending so many hours a week making the music I want to make, and so the promotion side of that is something which can sometimes be a bit too much to handle as an independent solo artist. And then there's other things like features. Like I have a bank of now great artists where if I wanted a guest verse from one of them, I know I could get it and be quick, and all I got to do is drop a message in our group chat. Or cover art, where the cover art for Cold coming out very shortly, that one was made by the label as well, which is just, it removes the stuff outside of the music. and allows me to just focus on the bits I enjoy, which is the rapping, the engineering, and the producing to a bit point. So I can just do everything I like, and I trust them and to help me get it out there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I've had people like management before for bands that I've worked in and stuff, and sometimes it works out good, and sometimes it works out okay, and sometimes it just doesn't work. But when you find those symbiotic relationships and it works, it's like, man, you really got to hold on to them because there's just so many people who are, this is an ends to a means, or means to an end, and it's not like they're just looking at this as money. They're just looking at it as a way forward to better themselves. It's not really a passion. There's a lot of scoundrels in this business. Have you had any run-ins with any maybe unsavory characters that were trying to take advantage of your talent?
I've definitely had like a fair share of scammers, or I've had a couple of other labels reach out, and then it turns out like you have to pay them a signing fee, and any label where you're paying them is just like, no, that's wrong. That's
Yeah.
um, or similar things like that, where the number of like messages I get, they're like, oh, you're really dope, etc., and then can you pay me X amount of money to get your music out there, and all that lot is just like, there's been so much of that, and so many like artists as well who reach out and want to work and then realize that they just disappear off the face of the earth for assorted reasons.
Thank you for those biddies, Reina. I appreciate that.
So yeah, there's been a lot of that. Whereas yeah, with a difference between Immortal Radio is they themselves are artists, and they are artists with music out there, and they know what they sound like, and they get it as well. And so it was essentially like started as, here's a group of artists, if we band together, like, can we make the load easier for all of us to succeed, rather than we have a manager who wants to profit off of our work.
Yeah, it's really it's such a weird business to be in, because it's like part of it is, it's artists, it's like gypsies, it's like, it's people who are just I don't know, man. It's just people that you see once and then they're forever gone, and then it's really hard to explain to people what this business is really like, and especially for people who are like, I don't know, are you a live performance? Do you do live performances? And yeah, please go ahead. Like, what is your live performance, and when's the last time you performed? I mean, especially with all the lockdowns and stuff.
Yeah, lots of COVID. So I've done a number of live performances, all quite small. But I did one just before Christmas, as part of a microphone competition where everyone came and performed a couple of tracks. And before that, I also was part of an outside festival. So I had a set on the outside festival where I was the last artist on, so I suppose that means I headlined it before the DJ. And that was like a long set. So that was like 5 songs as well. So that was the last thing, and that was last summer. But when winter comes in and outside events are less capable and COVID restrictions, etc. So it's been a little while since I've had a proper one.
They just lifted the restrictions over there, didn't they? Didn't they just?
Yes. Yeah. So things like, I'm quite lucky that in the UK, lots of things haven't been too bad. There is still a lot of caution in the public is a big thing. So while there's not been that many serious restrictions in a while, you still see stuff like footfall is lower and everything. Pubs like have much less people in them. Capacity is lower. But very recently, we've removed the mask mandate now. Most of our population is triple vaxxed, so it's a lot less likely to matter, because if we're all triple vaxxed, then hopefully we shouldn't get it. I say this, I was triple vaxxed and still got it, but it's very mild.
No, it's like with I'm not trying to sit here and talk about the efficacies of vaccines, but no, you're right. Like you were triple vax and you still ended up getting the Omicron, right? Is that
Yeah.
yeah?
Yeah, I got Omicron. Yeah, that was the
Oh,
one I
I
got.
broke
Oh,
everything. Sorry,
it's gone
guys.
black. There we go.
That's all I was trying to do. That was just so stupid. Now I was trying to do that and it went black and it was just so dumb. Anyways, that still makes me giggle. So then you with this whole lifting of the restrictions, do you see yourself trying to go out and find more performance? Is like where does your heart live? Is it the performance? Is it the creation? Is it the production? Is it the recording? Like what is it that does it for you?
I
In this?
okay. I like making things. I
Uh-huh.
think this is it's like a core part of my character is I like having put in time and effort, and at the end of it having something I'm proud of. So if I can listen to a song which I know I've made and I'm like, yeah, this is actually good enough to go in my playlists, then that is where most of like the I feel good about this comes from. In addition to that, the more people who like my music also, I'm not going to say that's some nice validation. I don't just do it to try and get like loads of people to like view me as like famous or the best artist alive, but
Yeah.
equally it feels nice when I get people messaging me saying, hey, this I really like this music, or oh, I think this song is beautiful. I had someone listen to my track sometimes, previous one of CJ. um, Someone listened to that 700 times in a month,
Oh
and
wow.
then sent me a message about it, and I could see their viewing figures.
You're like, thank you.
And and I was like, yeah, great. That was a really big thing. But also the fact that someone liked my music enough and they sent me a message to say this is the most beautiful song I've ever heard,
Wow.
is like it's like quite a touching thing. It's quite a cool thing.
Yeah.
But in addition to that, there is just such a like unparalleled buzz from performing live. I think like you have the nerves and you have like your hands, your palms are sweaty, and then you go on, and like if you've hit the right notes, and like you can see it in the crowd, and like they're genuinely vibing with your music and it's genuinely sounding really good, then that's like a really really huge like adrenaline rush, which is pretty great.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. So then, where do you see yourself more? So you like making it more than performing it? Would you say?
Yeah, I think to me is if I never performed again, I would still be making music.
Right.
Is at the core of it. Making music is absolutely what I love. If, however, like performing is kind of like an extreme sport for me. I like that sort of vibe. I like rock. I do a lot of rock climbing in my spare time, and it fulfills that niche of like you're going up and it's this hard high adrenaline thing, and that's got that really big spike. So it's not like, whereas the making music is like feeds my soul a little bit. It's like, yeah, this is what I do to express myself. The performing is incredibly fun recreation. So I don't need it,
Yes.
but I enjoy it. Yeah.
No, I feel that. I honestly, it's like I love performing, and like my band for the first time since COVID is going to be touring in April, so I'm like super excited to actually be going back out on the road. But what I've found from this whole experience of being locked down is that I really do enjoy making stuff and doing it. I enjoy the process of making stuff more than the actual performance itself. And when I think about it and what I was doing, because I was performing a lot and that was a big source of my income, is that I was losing that passion for performance because,
Yeah.
it turned into a job sort of. Not that I hated that job or anything, because I'd much rather be playing Brown Eyed Girl to a bunch of listless drunks than, working in an office at a cubicle, having my soul sucked away. So that, I'm down to play. It's just I'm feeling more of the make stuff than perform stuff personally, but that's just because I'm jaded from other reasons. Whereas you're just like I love play stuff. You know, I noticed that you're like you're getting a part of that adrenaline out in other ways, like rock climbing. Are you someone who sort of chases that adrenaline? Someone who sort of chases those feelings?
Yeah, I am a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I get bored very easily, I
Mm.
think. I'm the sort of person who can't sit still. Uh, and so a lot of my free time, well, all my free time is spent like, what's this next cool thing I can do? What's the next thing? How can I make it bigger? How can I make it cooler? How can I keep myself occupied?
Yeah.
Um, and so yeah, my main sport is bouldering. I do a lot of bouldering. Um, and I enjoy traveling a lot. So I know most people say that, but like, yeah, I'm going to Tenerife in a week. I was in Venice a
Oh.
month ago. Um, and I also like do a lot of like these big challenges. So uh, I recently, with my partner, we canoed the length of the River Thames, which is the river through the UK in London, which is 150 miles. And I'm going to be climbing up Mount Olympus in a few months, where I'll be hiking to the top, and that's 4 days.
Whoa.
Um, so, uh,
Whoa. Wait a second. Hold on. Let's not just skim over this. So wait a second. You canoed with your partner for 150 miles on the Thames, the River Thames?
yeah, yeah, about that. Yeah.
Whoa. What do you even do to prepare for something like that?
We didn't do enough, I think, is I I hadn't canoed before, ever.
Oh,
I think
what?
close to ever.
Wait. Wait, hold on. You've never canoed and then you were just like, we're gonna go canoe the whole
Yeah,
river?
yeah,
Okay.
all of it.
So
I've done some kayaking. I've done some
okay.
kayaking.
Okay.
I own an inflatable kayak, which is very shit. And I did some sea kayaking in Croatia a couple of years ago, and I was like, that's basically the same as canoeing.
Same
Um,
thing. I'm good.
and so me and my partner, and also it was in like there was a lot of COVID restrictions. There was a lot
Uh-huh.
of COVID restrictions still going on, and so me and my partner were like, we want to do something cool.
Yeah.
What's something outside which is cool, but we can't leave the country due to COVID restrictions.
Yeah.
So River Thames it was, and then we came back home because I live in London, so that's on the River Thames.
Yeah.
So drove up, had a canoe. 10 days later, we're at my house.
What? Wait. What'd you do with your car? How'd you get your car back? Did you have to go drive and
uh
get it?
I don't. So most people in London don't actually have cars,
Oh,
just
okay.
because. So I recruited my brother to drive me there, and then he
Gotcha.
went off and did
Gotcha.
his own thing. And then yeah,
I almost thought you're like, I don't know. It's probably still there, just rusting away.
probably just in the river. Just
We don't know. We just left it. It's over. Who cares? Uh, okay. So, how far into that trip up that fucking river did you realize you were a little bit in over your head?
day one.
Oh, okay. Just right
Actually,
away, right
day
away.
two, day two, maybe day two. So day one was one of the longest days. That was 25 miles or something. Which I don't know how much you canoe at 25 miles. Certainly for me is a lot. Is a lot of miles.
I think it's a lot for anybody, honestly.
And it was also absolutely pouring it down with rain as well,
Oh,
because it's the
jeez.
UK, of course, even in summer. So I had to empty my water bottle, and I was using my water bottle to like bail out the canoe to stop it filling up with water.
Oh,
Um, and that was the first day, and then we managed to make it hit the second day, which was a shorter day, thinking, oh, this would be fine. And then after the tiredness of the first day, that went really quite badly. And so that day we were supposed to do about 15 miles, maybe 10 miles, and we only managed 7.
wow.
And we had to like make a pit stop. Essentially, we didn't plan enough food, we didn't
Oh,
pack enough.
oops.
um and then so that day we restocked everything, and then somehow the next day managed to make up all of the lost time and do like 20 plus miles again.
Oh,
And then
geez.
at that point we fitted the schedule pretty well. But it did just become like a pain trial where
Yeah.
like by about day 4 it was just like every day hurt, and you were canoeing for like 9 to 10 hours a day, just like, yep, this is pain, this is pain, just yeah, like that
Was
for
it like
9 to 10 hours.
blisters? I mean, what are we talking about here? Like, what kind of pains are we experiencing?
So I had fingerless gloves. So I luckily didn't get any blisters. My partner did get blisters because her gloves got wet.
Oof.
And then so she didn't wear them. And then the main issue actually was my butt really hurt because I was on this hard wooden plank essentially, which was moving and slightly wet, and I was just sitting on it. And I'm quite a skinny guy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna own it. I'm quite a skinny guy. I don't have a lot of padding. And so by about day 3, like I'd folded up my fleece and I was sitting on my fleece, and then I got some cycling shorts. I had to throw those out immediately after the canoe trip because they got toxic.
Yeah, I bet. Imagine.
But yeah, the main pain was actually just like the feeling of sitting on a moving wooden plank for like
Wow.
100 hours. Yeah.
And that was your cross to bear, was your sore ass. Wow. That
Yeah.
out of all the things, I would have for sure thought it was like your shoulders are gone and your hands, but mostly your butt. It was mostly the butt.
Like you were getting muscle ache. I was getting muscle ache, and like I hurt my elbow quite early on.
Oh.
But so I was getting like the standard like muscle ache as you'd expect. But if you had like ibuprofen to like take down the swelling of the muscles, and like you stretched, and so that just felt like muscle pain. That's like a gym session sort of thing. So you're kind of used to it.
Right.
I think the thing I just wasn't expecting my butt to hurt, to be honest. And then it was so painful. It was just like outshone everything else.
That's nuts. I mean, man, and to think that was like your first canoe experience where you're just like, yeah, here we go. We're just gonna do that. But you guys finished, which was which is amazing. And then so what was it like when you're starting something like that? Is quitting not an option in your head? Is that just something that doesn't exist in your head?
So I hate it. If I say I'm going to do something, then I pride myself on doing it. And the idea of not completing it is something which will sit with me for literally the rest of my life, and I regret. So if I didn't do it, I would have practiced and then come back in a couple of years' time and then done it.
Yeah.
Because like the idea of failing is just something I absolutely hate.
Wow.
And if there is like a serious injury for whatever reason, then have I frozen? Yes.
You were,
Sorry.
but you're back. You're good.
I'm back. Okay. So like the idea of quitting is something I hate. And if there's an injury, of course, I won't risk anything too serious, but I will come back and do my best to finish it later on.
Gotcha. Well, were you an A student as well? Or are you an A student? Are you someone who was really good at school as well?
So I am an A student, but I wasn't the best in my family. My family is, my older brother was a complete A-star student.
So a lot living in the shadow. So what is do you have a lot of high achievers in your family?
I think reasonably. It's just we were all encouraged. So I didn't go to school, I think is an interesting thing. We were all home educated. And my family moved a lot as kids. So I lived in Australia for a bit, and I lived in like, I don't know, 20 odd houses by now. And we were all, and because we were moving so much, none of us went to school. And so we were all encouraged to do essentially what we wanted to do. And for me, that was mostly originally tech and engineering, and in my free time has become music. And so my other brother is really into like he's a geologist now.
Oh,
And
cool.
I've got another brother who actually works in a brewer, and he likes beer. He went to Cambridge University, but now he decides to work in a brewer, a brewery.
I love those.
Uh,
I love those stories so much. The stories of like I have so many friends who are like, I was in med school and I dropped out to tour, and like I was a lawyer and I quit to to tour, to live like, live paycheck to paycheck, gig to gig, like walking away from a life, a comfortable life. Not even comfortable, a good, an extravagant life, some would say, to go carry heavy equipment and get paid shit, get underappreciated, drive for hours, have gigs canceled, have people, not pay attention to what you're doing, or maybe sometimes they will pay attention to what you're doing, and just trading this life for just the unknown. I always love that. I always love that. I love
yeah,
that your brother was just like, nah, I'm just gonna be a brewer now. Fuck it, fuck Cambridge. uh, the I like that. I like that your parents were they encouraged you to do what you wanted. So you're uneducated and you're doing tech like that. I see a lot of people who don't go to school for tech who just were interested as kids, sort of learned some coding stuff and then just went from there. Is that you, or you just a kid who was in computers and then just sort of went from there? Or,
yeah. So I'm home educated. I think
yeah.
is more of the thing. So my mother um, was a teacher before I was born.
Oh.
And she's has a master's in education. I was doing a PhD in it. And so she taught us as we were moving about growing up. So
Oh, you were
I wasn't from a
homeschooled.
complete. I was homeschooled. Yeah.
Oh, that's so
Yeah.
awesome. We homeschool our son. So like it's good
Yeah.
to see like a fully formed person on the other side of it. Cause you know how people are like, oh, they're not gonna get socialization and they're gonna be weirdos. And it's like, nah, bitch, my son is really, really ahead of the curve and he's really good with other people. So I don't know what you're talking about. And look, we got
Yeah.
Trusc here to the strapping young man who's doing well in life, who's self-taught and homeschooled. We love it. We love it. Please continue. So you were homeschooled and
Yeah. So I was homeschooled, and yeah, homeschooling I think is something which I think is great personally.
yeah,
It
me too.
really encourages free thinking and the ability to lead yourself. Whereas I think school from a young age teaches children to expect being told what to do.
Yes,
And I'm someone who very much likes crafting my own path. And
that's
I think
beautiful.
partly is that down to if someone tells me what to do. I never really needed like the 9 to 5. I never needed that. I never had that.
Mm.
Um, and I think that's made me more independent as I'm now older. But yeah, I was home educated for a while, and then both my older brothers, I have two older brothers, then went off to sixth form in university,
Mm.
and there is a bit of a difference between being home educated with your two brothers and being home educated with just your mum.
Mm.
Just so there's a bit of a different vibe between those two.
I'm sure.
And so at that point, when they went off, then I went into traditional formal education when
Mm.
I was 16ish. And so then did my GCSEs and then did my A levels and then went to university for computer science, which
Okay.
is which I now have a job in.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's awesome. I mean, like, yeah, that's how we feel about it as well with the homeschooling with our son. He's 8 today. Actually, it's happy birthday, Saucy. But he we're gonna give him that option. Like once he gets to a point and he feels like he wants to go back to school, that's fine. But for right now, he does not want to go to school.
Yeah.
Did you want to go to school? Were you like, I want to go to school? And I know you mentioned it's like having your brothers there is different than just you and your mom. So were you just like, I need to change the scenery around here?
Yeah, I hit a point where I think I think as the younger child, you see your older brothers doing things and you like, I want a bit of that.
Mm.
Um, and so there was a little bit of that going on. There was also an insignificant amount of I have now gone through puberty and I'm a teenager, so would like to be around people of the opposite gender a bit more.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
um, And so that was definitely insignificant. As like when I was 12, I didn't give a shit. Now
Right.
now I'm like 14, 15, and I'm like,
Uh,
I'd like to see
yeah.
other people, you know.
I love
um,
you, mom, but I really just need to get my
not in
dick
that way.
wet.
Not in
Yeah,
that
exactly.
way.
No, I imagine I could see my son being like, okay, I need to like, yeah, I don't need this anymore. I need to go and so when you went to school though, where did was it an easy transition for you? Was it like
It
was
was a bit tough
yeah?
at first, if I'm honest. It was a bit tough.
In in what
I
ways?
did I do think generally like the social aspect of it, like I did do some I did have like scouts, like youth groups. I did some sports,
Mhm.
so I wasn't like a complete hermit.
Right.
But I think there's a difference between having things like a few times a week for a couple of hours and being forced to sit in one place for like 8 hours a day,
Yeah.
surrounded by people, which was at least the first few months quite overwhelming. Um, by the time I moved on to sixth form, which is I don't know how it relates to you, but it would be 17
Hmm.
for us, so 17 till about 18. Um, by the time it was fine, I absolutely loved sixth form. But the
Hmm.
first year, I think at university was like not university, was at school was like, oh, this is a I can't just do what I want anymore,
Yeah.
and expect it to be okay.
Well, did you have like behavioral issues at all, or was it
No,
no?
I like to think my parents brought me up on like general like don't be a dick vibes. Um,
Yes.
but there was just like I say, I'm someone who gets bored easily, and I've
Right.
been that all of my life. So sitting in a 2 hour geography class, and I'm someone who's never had an interest in geography, has basically meant I was falling asleep
Yeah.
all the time. It
Yeah.
was just absolutely so moments of torture, but yeah.
No, I can imagine. I can imagine, especially learning the way that you learn. However your parents figure out that exchange of ideas and how that works for you guys, and then having to go and sit there in this. I mean, truly antiquated way of teaching. I think this way of teaching kids that sit straight, stare forward, be quiet, wait for the bell to tell you when to go to the next class or go to lunch or go home. And it's like they're preparing you for jobs that are, they're becoming extinct. They're
Yeah.
these warehouse jobs or these factory jobs that are becoming automated or shipped overseas. So it does definitely seem, or jail. Yes, thank you, your lady friend Bonnie. It does prepare you for jail as well. So yeah, I can imagine someone who is just their whole life sort of just living how they want in within parameters obviously, but and then having to go to this very constraining situation that had to have been torture. I mean, it's torture for me, and I graduated from high school regular, and I mean I'm ADHD to the max, and it's that shit was death. That shit was death to me.
Yeah.
So I get that. I get how difficult that was. But were you successful then in your pursuits of the opposite sex? Was that something that worked out in your favor? Or I'm sorry,
uh
or for the person, or for the people that you're interested in.
um so I did get a girlfriend within 3 months of me going to school for the first time. But that yeah, that doesn't paint a great picture of me. Just saying that.
No, I'm
There
not.
are
I wasn't trying to, but I'm just, like, I just wanted to hear that you had some success, and like, because a part of you wanting to go to the school was to go and talk to people, and
yeah.
find relationships and stuff. So the fact that you found one, and that's nice. That's nice. You weren't just sitting there all like nervous and sweating and stuff, which maybe you
Oh, there's
were.
definitely a bit of that. There's
Oh, okay.
definitely a bit of that. No, I found a good group of friends really
Mhm.
quite quickly. And it was thankfully a mixed gendered group as well, which makes it a lot easier. So it wasn't like me just creepily staring at one. It was like there was a group of friends and we all hung out,
Yeah.
and I liked one quite a lot. And so that just became quite a natural progression. It was like it being your first girlfriend was like never anything really serious, but it's just like yeah, I like you more than most other people.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, that's very sweet. No, I mean it's very sweet. I mean it's like it's a that's a huge change, you know, and I imagine that. And now with me as with a son, you know, I imagine him and his change, and you know him doing this. So it's like, you know, I can imagine that was difficult, but you seem like you had a good head on, or you have a good head on your shoulders, and so you're able to sort of acclimate with grace, and that's great, man. That's awesome. Especially, I mean, it's just that when you hear, like when I was talking to my friends about it and talking to other people about homeschoolers, it's like, oh my god, they're gonna grow up being weirdos and blah 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 blah, and you know, be that guy who's creepily staring, like, hey, what's up? You just want to go on a date, you know, like just sweating and just random boners and stuff. It's not a good look. But it's, you know, I don't know. It's nice to hear that. I guess it's nice for me to hear that you've had a successful outcome with this whole thing because I'm in the situation I'm in. So
Yeah.
that's it. That's what it really is about here. It's just about me, of course. Uh, so
I was gonna say
please.
quickly, yeah, I think it is. I think it's possible that that happens for homeschool. Like I've had some homeschooler friends, and not all of them had turned out in.
Ah.
Like some of them have been a bit stereotypical, I think is how I'd
Oh.
describe it.
Yeah.
Um, and I think, but I think it's the sort of thing that like if you're aware of it, it's quite easy to stop at the same time. It's like if someone is just a kid hermitsing by themselves, they can be a bit like, but unfamiliar with social
Mm-hmm.
interaction. But the same can happen with someone who goes to school,
Yeah.
doesn't talk to anyone at school, and comes in and plugs on their headphones, etc.
Yeah.
And so it's just like being aware of it and making sure that kids are like getting those healthy connections. For me, it was Scouts. Scouts was a huge part of my life, going out camping with people and hikes, which I still love. But for anyone else, like just having that one passion where they meet other people at the same time, I think is really quite important for children.
Yeah. Yeah, that I mean that's great, man. It's so it's you know I do this a lot, but just the younger generation really is way more in touch, man. Like when I was your age, I was like I didn't know what the feelings were, so I was just going dark, 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 drinking and drugging and like just being ridiculous and you know like I'm not saying that's wrong or right or anything, but I was taken it to the point of trying to forget or not confront my own problems. Whereas I feel like a lot of the new generation is very introspective and like, you know, I talk to a lot of young rappers who are just very eloquent with their words and, you know, have gone through a lot already and sort of set this really interesting path up for their life and whereas I always have to compare it to my life where I set up this like really destructive path in my life where I decided at a young age to just be a drug addict. So it was just like, hey, so it's always interesting to me and awesome to see this younger generation kind of come up with more of a wider understanding of the world around them and you know and navigate through that with a little bit more grace than I feel like other generations have because of I don't know, maybe lack of talking about feelings and the feels and stuff, you know? Like my generation didn't talk about, like you should be socialized and like if you are not socializing properly with other kids at school, that this should be addressed. They just like my parents was just like, I guess that's just he's just artistic, I don't know. And it's really I was just this fat kid who was having problems and maybe if I did have a little help, or maybe if there was a little bit more information, or maybe if it was a little bit more normalized in that time of my growth and my, me coming to my adulthood, maybe that would have set my life up to be a little bit more, a little bit more, I don't know, controlled instead of this chaotic fucking forest fire that it was for a long, long time. Is that something that you've this demeanor, this calm and sort of and this introspective demeanor that you have? Is this something that you've always been, or is this something that you've had to sort of work towards?
Uh, so I think it is. I think it has been a bit of something I've had to work towards. I struggled with some pretty bad depression
Mm.
earlier points in my life, particularly over the uni period. Um, And so quite a lot of my way of getting out of that and becoming to a better place, which I am thankfully now, um, was working towards building like context around things. So it's like it helps me to understand what brought me to this point in my life, and or helps me to understand like if I'm feeling this way, it's almost certain that something caused it. So what was it that caused it? And moving forward, what can I do to like stop that happening? I found that a good effect. Like it sounds stupid. It's very basic advice, but I found like a fairly standard thing was if I get out the house more, I feel less bad about getting out the house because I do it all the time. So like just a standard thing about making sure I actually go to the shops would mean that when it becomes a bigger thing to do, it's easier for me to do. And stuff like exercise, also all that standard endorphins thing. But it's also partly that, okay, this social interaction here, I've realized I don't like these people, and there's nothing wrong with not talking to them anymore, and they can be fine people, but they're not the people for me. And surrounding myself by these like positive forces in my life who share similar goals is what helps me stay focused and keeps me going. But at the same time, to realize these things, you have to think about quite introspectively about actually what am I feeding into my life, which events have an impact on me in what way. Like certain people love, I don't know, swimming, and that makes them feel really good, but when I try swimming, I don't love it. So what is it about swimming that I'm not into? And so if I've started bringing that approach into most of my life, so it's like which friends are really positive for me, which people are like, actually you can be a good person, but you're not the right person for me to spend time with, and take this really introspective view to try and get myself to where I want to be, as stable as possible, and like as to set myself up for success in the best way. And once I've built this like mental framework, that's quite easy to apply in hindsight as well. Whereas I was like, as a kid, now I'd be like, oh, that bit worked out well, and oh, that bit didn't work out so well for similar reasons, with like this mental pattern I have about recognizing it now.
Wow, look at this shit, man. The at 24, I was not talking like this. This is that was such a mess. I'm sorry, I just keep bringing it back to me, but it's so confounding to me to think that, like, you know, that young people think like this, you know, and that because again, my generation didn't. My generation didn't think like this. We were just very much going with the momentum of of our lives. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I think there's a slightly different point as well, where there's a little bit of selection. Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh.
I see you. I see you.
I'm back. I'm back.
You're
Okay.
back. You're back.
I was going to say there's a little bit of selection bias as well. So the fact is that there definitely are people in my generation who are like just doing whatever they want, which is fine. If it makes them happy, that's cool. But also they're probably not the type of people who've been recording music for 8 years and are putting themselves out on a podcast.
Yeah.
And yeah, if they're, like I said, if they're happy, then that's cool. But at the same time, it's like, what makes me happy is feeling that I'm moving forward. And that's what's brought me to the point where I can be here in this conversation. And I reckon people who didn't have that same feelings probably wouldn't be here having this conversation with you.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a bit of nature and nurture in this, right? Like there's definitely just people who are just going along with it in any generation, who's just sort of going with the momentum of their life and ignoring these feelings and not being introspective and just blowing through why they're angry for that person cutting them off on the freeway. It's like, I'm not even gonna think about why I'm mad. I'm just going with it, you know. I don't know. I just feel like I've talked to a lot of people, and I suppose there is sort of this bias on that I talk to mostly artists, and so there is something more to it, I think, when you're talking to an artist rather than, you know, I don't know, you know, just a regular person, a civilian, I don't know what to call them. Yeah, good parenting versus bad parenting. Yes, exactly. But it's definitely this um there is definitely there's something more to it. I feel like just because of the information that is available, I think that there is more information for kids to or younger people to get into than it was for me, to sort of put these fill in the missing pieces of the puzzle of our minds and our psyche. But I don't know. With all that said, and with what you just said, do you? What is your general feelings of your generation? Do you feel like this your generation is the thing that's going to turn it all around, or do you feel the opposite? I mean, what is your feelings of your generation?
So I am Gen Z.
Hmm.
Um, is a thing. Just though I am on the very
You're
older
an
end.
elder Gen Z.
I am an elder Gen Z. I'm. It's quite weird putting me in the same classification as 10-year-olds on TikTok, but
Yeah, I feel you. I feel you.
that is me. I'm equally definitely not a millennial, so
Yeah.
it's where I got to sit. And I think there's I think there are some really good aspects of our generation, my generation, that I think a huge one is acceptance of a lot of things,
Yes.
where a lot of things that aren't big issues about people are like, yeah, sure, that's fine. You're still a person, that's cool.
Yeah.
But I think it can go too far into over acceptance a little bit. Like if someone has a mental health condition, they're fine, they're still a good person, but at the same time we should be trying everything we can to address this mental health issue so that they're as happy as they can be, they're as functional as they can be. Someone with crippling depression, it's okay to say you have depression, but at the same time you should be really trying everything you can to help yourself become happier instead of just accepting you have depression. So it's like, let's try and fix it in a constructive way. um, and and this is just the fringes of society. I think just the fringes always, but like the I think a core part of me. I'm going to pause. Yeah, a core part of me and like my philosophy is. Oh no, come on. I'm back. Yes, I'm back.
There he
Okay.
is. There he is.
Core part of my philosophy. Yeah, cool. A cool part of my philosophy is like accepting everything that's wrong now and then doing the best we can to make ourselves the best we can be. Um, and that supplies with like that's my philosophy of most things, including like certain like drug use is like, okay, you're using drugs, that's cool, that helps for whatever reason. um but also like massively of like mental health conditions, like just saying it's fine isn't going to fix anyone. If someone's massively overweight, just saying they're fine is good for accepting them, but at the same time we want everyone to live as long as possible and we want everyone to live the best lives they can.
Listen,
And
I don't need
so
you fat shaming me, okay, Trusc? I don't need that right now. All right. I feel like you're directing it towards me, and now you're canceled. Okay, sorry. That was just an excuse for me to do that. So please, I'm
oh,
sorry. I interrupted your
beautiful.
beautiful thing right there, just to be an idiot. But yes, I please finish your thought there if I didn't ruin it.
No, it was just like no one is less of a person for being having an issue, but equally as a society I think we should try and fix the issues, but then people see the issue forward. Oh, this, sorry about my internet. So
It's okay. It's
it seems
okay.
to freeze randomly.
No, I agree with what you're saying, and I get what you're saying. Where it's like, well, maybe we shouldn't just be okay. I mean, it's okay that you're overweight. It's fine, right? Like
Yeah,
we all get to these places in our lives that maybe we're not the most proud of, but I think that embracing it and accepting it, and like me being like, I'm overweight. I got a little extra weight on me over the pandemic. Me being like, well, I'm just more to love. And then, also, I'm in the hospital clogging up the system because I have diabetes. I have all these comorbidities. And now I got the Omicron. And now I'm in the hospital because I'm overweight. I have all these comorbidities and I'm clogging up the system. And now, is that okay? Is it okay that I've embraced my fatness and that I'm big and beautiful, baby? Is that okay now? I mean, now we're talking about it's literally affecting other people. It's literally, stopping someone else from having a hospital bed. And that's just one example. I mean, we could go on and on, but I agree with you. And did you have more to add?
Oh, no, it's just that, I want everyone to live as long and as happily as they can. And
Right.
I think, and like the best way to do that is by identifying issues and fixing them.
Yes. Right. And then no one's just picking on overweight people, all right? And I'm not just picking on my overweight self, but that's just one of the things, it's just that we can accept people to a detriment and to them and to ourselves. And if someone's just like, I'm bipolar too and schizophrenic, love me. And it's like, okay, we love you, but let's try to get you a stable job and like a medication that works. And like, let's get you some psychiatric help. Let's get you to your best possible place so you can be beautiful with whatever that ails you and live a functional life. We all gained some weight during the pandemic. Not you, Rafi. You just stayed beautiful. Shut up, Rafi. You just stayed beautiful. You can't say that to me. Be healed. Thank you. Trusc, I know you got to get going, so I will let you go. But is there anything that you want to leave us with, and of course, Cold? My bad. Cold comes out on February 4th, so everybody make sure that you go and give some love. I'm gonna drop the link in the chat again, and everybody who's listening on the. And everyone who's listening on the audio side, please make sure you go check out the show notes and go click on the links to make sure you can sign up for the pre-save for Cold. This link will take you to the pre-save place, and so everyone go pre-save that shit. I have a few friends that deal with this and got off meds and went off the rails. Meds are so key for bipolar, bro. I'm changing meds right now, and shit is wacky. So. I know how that goes. Happy you were able to get home. Sorry I missed most of work while work. Oh, no, don't worry about it, Robbie. I appreciate you showing up and being here right now. It's all about now. It's not about then. It's about now, baby. So please, Trusc, if you have any parting words or anything you want to leave us with, please, now's the time, my friend.
Just thanks for having me. It's been a great conversation.
Yeah, lovely.
Make sure, just everyone watching, to check me out on Instagram at official.trusc, Trusc, and I'm on YouTube as well, and Spotify as just Trusc, so Trusc. And I look forward to talking again maybe sometime in the future, and thank you.
Oh yeah, man. You are welcome back anytime, my friend. You speak like I love the way you talk. Like I know I could talk to you for hours, and that's beautiful. So yes, please. That is Trusc, his official Instagram. I had a whole thing made, but because Streamlabs is such a piece of crap, we can't see it. So I had a whole thing prepared, but no more. Sometimes off meds hard, but worth it. Yeah, whack ass road, but only green. Yeah, it wasn't great for me. All right, Trusc. Thank you so much, my friend. You have a great rest of your evening, and I will talk to you soon.
You too. Catch you later.
All right, buddy. Peace. Boom. Omicron. That's just on. I like that. That's just on. Thanks for having Trusc from Enigmatic Electronic Entertainment. Jeez Louise. Everybody, go give. There's Immortal Radio.